What up, though, y'all? It's your boy Shane G. We are back again with another episode of OTI, Open to Interpretation, right here on the Ethos Media Network. Make sure you like, you share, and you subscribe for all of the content coming out on the channel. We coming with nothing but bangers, y'all. Y'all already know how we do. We're gonna start out with a clip. This week we discussing Kyrie. What's going on with him in the NBA. Is he retiring? Let's see what he says. Let's go.
Is it's dying. It's dying. Old ways of living, the old ways of doing things. It's not gonna last for too much long. I'm saying this to y'all specifically because it's important that those that understand, that are aligned and what's going on around here, that y'all paying attention, because without us making a change right now and shifting our consciousness, our kids they're gonna fall victim to this system too. And the system I'm talking about it's a myriad of objective topics that we follow since we were kids, which is sex, love, relationships, religion, culture, class, finance, entertainment, media, social platforms at this point. Please do not fall victim to these things that are being manipulated and controlled. Please do not. Please do not. We have so many truth tellers out here that are doing the right things, and I could point them out, but you have to have your own level of discernment once you're consciously awakened to what's really going on. And I could go on and on, but look, I have to speak in general topics because it gets too mixy. You know what I'm saying? But I hopped on here specifically to share something with y'all. My generation, the millennial generation, we got to be better. We got to be better. My millennial generation, we got to be better. We know too much of the truth, and sometimes that will put us in places where we're fearful or we have anxiety. And in order to make an impact out here that is generationally sound, where it lasts for not just one generation, but for 7 to 10 to 20 generations now, we have to break free mentally, spiritually, emotionally, physically. You know what I'm saying? It's not easy to do it, but we have people out here that are willing to extend a helping hand and do it, And I went live on this main page because I know that, some people are going to take this as, oh man, this guy's, what is he talking about now? This guy thinks and it's like, it's not even about that. I don't even have energy to give that to give to that today, or any point in my life. But I will tell you this, we got to be better. We have to protect our youth. We have to protect our ways of life. We have to protect the kids that are looking up to us. So my millennial generation, this is a call out to you. No, real talk.
All right. So on that note, we're bringing in the homies. We got LOF Lack of Flaws. We got the homie Twan. How we doing, fellas?
What up? What up, Joe?
Yeah, man. So he said a lot. He said he was speaking in general terms, but if you know how to read between the lines, you know what he was saying. So Twan, what are your thoughts on, what are your first initial thoughts after watching that video?
Nothing. The Kyrie is just continuing his message in general. Even though he's faced some consequences on his thoughts and you know, reposting that movie. He's just really, to me, continuing with his message, which is, a new system is arising in his mind, and that the people that can push that new system ahead has to continue to just put their head down and march forward and not be worried about some of the consequences that may come with it. I think um he's just, to me, just standing on exactly what he's been saying, which is he feels like the old guard or the old system is getting broken down or about to be broken down, and that a new system will arise. And anybody that has any idea or experience with history, the people that run the old system don't like losing the power. So it's going to be a lot of upheaval. It's going to be a lot of things pushed out. People are going to get their names dragged through the mud, through the media, based on who controls said media. But I just feel like to me, he's just overall sticking with his same principles, which is what he been saying all along. Like, hey man, like it's our generation. He feels like his generation can make a change. He feels like his generation, we're living in an information age. And I think he's basically saying there's too much information coming our way to continue to live in the old system and to be ignorant about it. That's just basically um what I see and what I feel. It's like it's so much information that may have been misunderstood or hidden that's starting to come out, and people are starting to be able to be enlightened about it. And he's just basically asking people, what are you going to do with the information? And that you need to be responsible, in his opinion, and make changes with the information.
That's real. Flaw, what about you? What's your thoughts on it?
I mean, I think Twan pretty much hit it on the head. I mean, Kyrie is a very eclectic individual who has a variety of feelings and opinions about several things that are specific to him. But as far as what he said about social media and all of those things, we're just now getting to the point where we're going to be able to see the effects of some of these things. You know what I'm saying? Like some of this stuff hasn't been around long enough for us to even really, really know how it's going to affect our brains and all of those things. Studies are just now being able to be run. So these things, like the changing of the guard, is a real thing. I mean, I believe in the episode back, or maybe even offline, we spoke about all of that Cosby stuff came out when he was trying to buy NBC. Like, there's a lot of stuff that gets said. So, I mean, we can have a deeper conversation, but to what Kyrie said specifically, I really just think it's a matter of him expressing himself and where he's at, and also trying to walk that tight line since they got his pocketbook right now, and he's just trying to still be himself and still be able to somewhat not continue to infuriate people by him saying our people need to do better.
Now, let me ask, and either one of y'all can respond first, but how much do y'all think what the message is and who the messenger is? Like, how much do you think the public weighs that, I guess? Because Kyrie's
Okay.
also been known to say stuff like the earth is flat. So when you say that, then a lot of the other things that you said people will just immediately cast aside, even if there is a lot of truth in it. So do you think which is more important, I guess? Like,
The message should
because
always be more important. The truth is, Edison found 1,000 ways to not make a light bulb. Did we not listen to him when he said he figured it out? So it's like, to say that Kyrie says stuff that's just completely crazy. I'm sure if we peel back everything all of us have said, we'll be able to find some things that were crazy or just completely wrong or uninformed or any of those things. So to sit up here and act like we still can't separate the information to be able to say, no, that was crazy. Dude is off on that. But dude hit the bullseye on this. That's throwing the baby out with the bathwater to me.
yeah, I mean, yeah, definitely. Like, but I do think there's a difference, I guess. And Swan, what are your thoughts on this? I think there's a difference when we have all said things crazy in the past or uninformed things in the past, but then when we get informed on those things, we can say, "Oh, we were wrong." Like, but there's certain obvious thing again, like going with the flat Earth example. Like,
But
if we know
this
that's not true, like, and you haven't backed off that, so that makes it seem like, you see what I'm saying. So it's like it leaves room
I'm a
for you to be very wrong about other things too. You get what I'm saying?
I'm a
So what are your
I'm
thoughts?
a, I'm gonna push back on you a little bit, Shane, in this sense. One, I'm a person that don't believe that the earth is flat. But what proof do I have? How do I have any more proof than Kyrie had? I've never been out of space. I've never seen Earth from a perspective to say that it's round. So that'd be kind of crazy to me when people act like they have actual facts. No, who does? Who does? Like, and then it comes to, if Kyrie saying that the people who have the actual facts are lying to you about it. I'm just going to that perspective. Like when people who are not astronauts, who are not act like they know for certain How do they know? We're being told, just like we don't know for certain. For the longest, they told us Christopher Columbus discovered America. So the point that I be making is like, why do y'all keep trusting these people who have been known to lie? Like, so y'all, it's kind of like what you're saying about Kyrie. Like, oh, okay, so their lies get swept under the rug, and we should believe everything they say wholeheartedly. But Kyrie say something that we think is kind of crazy, so we should disregard everything else he's saying. That's a military tactic. It's called misinformation. You attack the messenger, especially if you think the message is correct. You got to make the messenger seem like they're crazy or foolish. They've been doing this for the longest. For the longest. I don't care. I don't care whether the earth is flat or round. I could care less. You know what I mean? Like at the end of the day, I don't own a spacecraft to go out there and be like, yeah, it's really flat when we go out to outer space. I don't own a spacecraft, so I could care less about whether the earth is flat or round. The point I'm making is some of the things that Kyrie Irving was speaking on do affect me and people like me directly and indirectly. Some of it is truth, man. Like, you know, and I think sometimes another tactic they do is like, you know, if a person puts out a movie and 10% of the movie is like salacious and incorrect, does that invalidate the other 90% of it? It's kind of like, if that's the case, we need to break down the whole American education system. That's the problem to me personally, is it's so much hypocrisy. Like, the whole education system is based on nothing but lie after lie after lie mixed in with some truths. So it's like, what are we picking and choosing to say what's right and incorrect? And at the end of the day, Kyrie Irving is just a human being and he has an opinion. And I think that's what he meant about stop dehumanizing me. Like, you can agree to disagree with somebody. It's people online all day, every day that think black people are monkeys and coons and whatever else. And I just agree to disagree with them. But Kyrie disagreed with some people who then showed their power. And that's what's kind of so ironic to me. It's like the same thing that Kanye West was trying to say that y'all do, y'all demonstrated to both of them.
In full force. In full force.
That's crazy.
In full force.
No, I'm with you. I'm with you. I mean, and like I said, I do agree with in that particular clip, I agree with a lot of what he said, right? You know, so and I get also that we've been lied to so much, provable, easily provable lies, so much that it's like it's easy to jump to the other side where it's like, okay, everything they say is a lie. So if they say there's, you know,
that's
you know
emotional.
what I mean? But
That's emotional.
But I'm just saying, like, I feel like that's how you get. Again, I'm only using the flat Earth example, and I'll push back a little bit, Twan. Like, as far as like, what reason? I always look at the motivation for the lie, right? Like in most in most situations where people lie, the motivation is easy to spot. It's usually money or, you know what I'm saying, control or power is usually very easy. What would, I guess, be the reason or the, you know what I mean? There's not really a motivation to lie about whether it's round or flat.
I mean,
information.
I'm about to say, if you wanted to use that perspective, bro, it's when you start knocking down those kind of theories, if that ever was to come out to be a lie or whatever,
right?
That's hugely problematic. Like, it's a huge problem. Like, it's one of the kind of lies that they work hard to keep covered if it was a lie.
Let's call it the truth.
It makes us call everything into question. It's that big of a
absolutely. That's what I was about to say.
That's where power is.
If that's ever proven to be incorrect, everybody's going to question everything.
Everything, yeah. Like,
and this is the fact that I say that even as me believing that the world is round, it's some things that I did in my own searching that made me question it. Like maps that people made where the earth was flat, and they had other continents and other land masses that are not on our map. So it's like, and this is the honest to God truth. The only reason I think the earth is round is because they told me it was. I have no other reason to think so.
I mean, I would say because it's possible to fly around the world. That's one reason. You know what I'm saying?
But
Like if it was
But
flat,
they told you were flying around.
that's the
They
point I'm
told you
making.
were going around. That's literally the, like, when you dive into what Kyrie is talking about, and this doesn't have anything to do with either Twine, myself, Ethos, OTI. I'm not trying to get nobody in trouble here. This isn't any of those people's personal opinion. All I'm saying is, if you do subscribe to the notion of that awakening that makes you question things or be open to the possibility that what you know is nothing, which is a real thing. It's a very humbling thing to do, to get to a point where you're like, you know what? Why do I think I know this? Oh, I actually don't know it. Somebody told this to me. I don't actually know this to be true. This was given to me and I took it as law. So when you start to peel back those layers and really start to ask those questions about everything from, Mom, why do we do this as a family? All the way to, is the earth round? So if that ever came out, it would be game changing for the entire population.
And that's all. Like I said, I told you what I think, but I gave you the honest opinion of why I think that way is because somebody told it to me. And then I start asking questions like, well, dang, why is Antarctica the only place that every country in the world has a treaty that people can't go? Like, what is it about Antarctica? Like, see, that's the point I'm making. It's hard for me to believe things wholeheartedly when they're keeping things away from us. Like, that's the part that's kind of weird to me, is like how people keep putting all this trust. Okay, just like in the 1950s, right? So imagine you were old enough to be an adult in the 50s. Your whole life, they said UFOs don't exist. It's a weather balloon. It's nope, nope, nope. Now in 2022, they're releasing all these documents saying that they were lying to you. Why would you trust them?
That's the question.
yeah. I mean, it's like you said in the last week's episode. You know, it's, you got to look at the source. You know what I mean? So,
Because that's the point I'm making. What's the source then? Like, why are, if UFOs aren't man-made and it's not some advanced technology that humans somehow discovered, and it is an alien technology, what's the issue? Oh, because then you got to start unearthing, well, if it is aliens, how long have you been communicating with them? What have they taught you? Where do they live? Oh, well, we can't tell them. I be on all this stuff. We can't tell them that maybe they live in the ocean and it's a hollow earth and the earth isn't round and it's a hollow earth and they enter through space at the bottom of the ocean. Like, it's so many theories where I'll be like, you're right. If one person uncracks and unravels one big monumental lie, it literally derails the whole system. The whole system would collapse. And I'm not saying, what I'm saying is I get why they got to keep going with the lie, if that's the case, because you can't have the whole system
You can't
collapse.
deal with that. You can't deal with it. Yeah, you can't.
y'all trying to have some fun real quick?
I'm with whatever.
I mean, yeah. I mean, I guess we're having fun.
Give me a conspiracy theory that y'all believe is true. Like somewhat, you know what I mean? Like not necessarily like,
man, Bigfoot was real, bro. I don't know.
Give me something.
I'm just saying. I just
real.
gave you one off the top of my head. Like, Bigfoot is real. I could really see like there being some huge Sasquatch ass situation. I can believe that. I can believe.
I believe that Earthlings have made contact with other civilizations. I don't know if they're how they depict, and maybe they're other humanoids or however they look. I believe that's I believe that's true. And the reason I believe that is Roswell happened in what, 53. I forget when it's supposed to, somewhere in the 50s. Correct me if I'm wrong. By the 50s, we had just got a steam engine in the car. 100 years later, 50 years later, we had an airplane. That's just too coincidental to me. Like we had just figured out how to get a car fast enough to get off horseback. And then this Roswell thing happened, and 40 some odd years later, we got a whole airplane. That's too far of a leap in technology to me. Like, it's just too far in the leap for it not to have been a monumental discovery that changed everything they knew about airplanes and propulsion and everything like that.
Flaw, give me your Bigfoot, man. Why you think Bigfoot was real?
Shit, I don't know. I just picked it because it sounded like a crazy thing that could actually happen. Yeah.
You know what? And I'll give this to you. There was an animal that was around called Australopithecus, and it was a giant ape-like human being type animal. They got skeletons of it and all that type of shit. That's probably what Bigfoot was. So
I'm just saying, like, it's just, man,
I'm gonna confess something to y'all. You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? We
Probably.
all hip hop niggas. We all hip hop niggas. You know what I'm saying? And I'm gonna confess this to y'all. You know what I'm saying? I was a Tupac truther for a long ass time. That nigga was alive. He faked his death and he was in Cuba. And I believe that shit.
I understand.
I was a Tupac truther, nigga.
Okay. All right.
Hey, I was just, you know what I'm saying? I know that shit. Hey, man, like,
I mean, no, everybody has something that they believe makes sense to them. I mean, it's a bunch of conspiracy theories that may or may not be truthful and things of that nature. You know, that's the thing about it. It's like when you don't have all the information, it leads the mind to wonder, and you start wondering, like, well, dang, why don't this doesn't really add up, and this doesn't really add up, and you know, Tupac didn't have a funeral, and da 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 da, and this, that, and then how many people said it's so many accounts of people who said he was actually awake and talking in the hospital, and like they were shocked when they announced he died. So it's like it's just a lot of stuff where it's like, yeah, that's kind of weird. You know what I'm saying? Like
a lot of dog.
the whole Machiavelli album.
Yeah,
like
man.
I mean, it was probably more. It was the way that he prophesized his death that made it, and us not having the social media that we have now, so it was much more polarizing.
Yeah.
Overall, I'm gonna tell y'all the one thing that made me think it might have been true. This is just the one thing, because somebody who's been to Las Vegas a lot, right? Mm-hmm. Where he supposedly got shot. Well, not supposedly, because that's where it happened. A hospital is like 7 minutes away driving.
But the
why the fuck would they put him in a helicopter?
No, well, I don't know what the surgery staff was at the hospital that was close by to be able to speak on that. But I do know that when bullets start flying, niggas make bad decisions. Biggie was down the street from Cedars.
Yeah. Did they fly Biggie somewhere? I thought they did try to drive him.
They didn't necessarily immediately know where the closest hospital was, if I'm not mistaken. And that's
I can understand that.
Some shit like that for a little bit, and then
that's what I'm saying. Like when bullets start flying, it's a thing. Now I don't know where the helicopter situation came in to be able to be like, yeah, you know, they drove the nigga here, and then it was smarter to do. I can't speak to that.
Man, that's the thing about it, man. It's like, you know, maybe whatever years we got left on the earth, some of these things are actually get disproven or proven with some finality. You know, I would love to know if it's like actual other bodies of continents that's outside. Because I saw this map that like blew my mind how they described it. It was like 3 rings. It was like the earth was flat, and it was like the continents that we have right now. Then outside of Antarctica, it was another body of water and like 5 other continents. And then it was another ring and like 2 giant continents outside of that. And it was supposedly, obviously I wasn't there, but it was supposedly drawn in like 1400 and something. And I do feel like the odd thing about time is, even though we have access to information in 2022, I feel like it's way easier to control than in 1400. I feel like the people back in the day actually knew more about the earth and its existence and everything than we do. Like,
I mean, they worked it. They worked it. They lived off it though. They worked it. They lived off it. They were a part of it. Like they truly, like it wasn't like something extra. It was truly a part of their being
Yeah, yeah,
on a
definitely.
daily basis. Like
They
on a
were
daily
very
basis.
much one with
Yeah, it was one.
yeah,
it.
and that's kind of a conspiracy theory that I believe, is that the powers that be have engineered everything from our food, from what we digest, entertainment, to disconnect us from our connection to the earth, to where, while we are so confused about what's going on and kind of in a maze and like don't really have any clarity to the earth and different things of that nature. But you
Let me
know,
ask you this. That's actually interesting. Do you think that that was a plot, or do you think that that was a side effect that they encouraged the more that they realized that that's what it was?
I think it maybe started off as a side effect and then it became a plot. Because
Got
this is just a mathematical thing. It's the same thing in war. If I was going to war, finger quotes, with somebody and it was way more of them than me, I'm the 1%, the 3%, whatever you want to call it, and they're the other 97.
hmm
I have to create some type of strategy to control them, or this is going to be the easiest war over and done with. No questions about it. It's done. Like, it didn't happen a bunch of times in history when the people at the bottom realize that, or they get fed up, or whatever you want to call it, and they overthrow governments and civilizations crash. But I feel like they've gotten a lot smarter with their distractions, their technologies, and it's just easier to control, man. It's kind of crazy. I bring this up all the time to like more of my, I hate using the word militant because that comes off as a negative, but like more of my more righteous people, I'd be like, bro, why the fuck do y'all think the prophets stopped in 1950? We have prophets all throughout history of the world, from the Bible to Malcolm X, Martin Luther King, Marcus Garvey. Them people was like modern day apostles and prophets to me. Like they were here for a reason. And then it just seems like it stopped. Nobody really has the courage to really be a martyr or put themselves out there like, dog, it's time to make change. And I can get into a bunch of reasons of why, and like how I feel like the other side got a little smart and start doing different things. But I just be wondering that, like, who's to say that the Bible is done being written? I always wondered that. Like, why? Why did it stop then? The word of God don't stop. It's a continual thing. I just feel like that's a trick that people don't connect with the world. They don't connect with the earth and be able to get that message from God. They don't even have enough clarity in their mind because their mind is so cluttered to even hear it. Or the people that do, they label them crazy.
Yeah, I mean, so yeah, like, and I wanted to go there, and I'm glad you did, Twan. Um, because when you're talking about small amounts of people having to implement systems and strategies to control large amounts of people, a lot of people will argue that religion is one of those things. But you just
Right.
quote, the Bible, and you were speaking about God and things of that nature. So, what are your thoughts on that? And yeah, just what are your thoughts on that?
See, to me, and this is just my personal opinion, I want everybody to realize this is me, the homie Twine personal opinion. I take my spirituality a personal journey, and the word says, the Lord says, the Most High says, find me for thyself. Meaning, my interpretation of that means I don't have to be a follower. I have to seek the Most High for myself to make my own personal connection outside of a pastor, outside of the mother, outside of any religious person that's another human being. I have to find my own personal journey and experience and connection with the Most High. And when I do that, it lets me know that God is real, in my personal opinion, because I've experienced some things to let me know that the Most High is real. And it has nothing to do with nobody teaching me anything or me reading a book that was written by some people. No, so that's just my personal experience. I see how, this is the thing that I'm saying. It's like if you're an intellectual person and you see that this being is a real thing and people believe in this being, it's easy to manipulate people through that same thing. But it also says that right there in the word, that there will be false prophets, that there will be people that use the Lord's work in vain. So you can't take the good and the bad. That's the thing that I be saying. It's like, I get why somebody would be like, oh man, religion divides people. Well, people divide people, because guess what? I want you to look in the Bible and tell me one time did it have a denomination in it. And I'm only using Christianity as an example. Tell me one time that they have a denomination in it. Tell me one time when it actually even said the word Christian.
Yeah.
Go look it up.
Yeah,
These are
exactly.
all man-made things.
The book
If you're a
itself.
Muslim,
The book
tell me
itself.
one time that the Muslim said Nation of Islam in a different type of Islam. These are man-made things, man.
Flaw, what are your thoughts on that? Because we met in church, and I know that I've evolved a lot on my thoughts since then. So but I don't know if we've ever actually had that talk. So what are your thoughts on the same question I asked Juan?
I mean, I wound up at that church for different reasons. I got in trouble. I got in trouble, and that was a place that mom told me to go spend some time, my extra free time. So I was volunteering up there, and during that time, I went through several different changes as well. Um, Understanding service, understanding that something is bigger than you, being able to contribute to being able to contribute to services, whether that was as an audio person or in that capacity, is really where I helped. Um, and being able to understand that, yo, while you're sitting here, doing a job or mad that you're here or whatever the case may be, you are helping other people connect. You know what I'm saying, on a higher level. Now that's something that I didn't catch. I mean, I was when I got in trouble, I was 16-year-old kid. So, but around 17, after about a year of doing it or so, I started to really understand, like, yo, man, you're actually running the audio for a Sunday service, as an example. Shout out to Kanye. You're running the audio for a Sunday service, and people like the way that you mix the audio. People like the way that the band sounds and the choir sounds and all of these different things. You're contributing to how they connect, to how the music makes them feel, which has an impact on everything from the number of people running up and down the aisles, catching the Holy Spirit, to honestly the amount of ties that even came in that week. So understanding like how all of those things work together gave me a completely different perspective of the church experience. But specifically, to the last point that Twan made, it doesn't, like, people are divisive. People make things difficult. Like, at the end of the day, the crazy thing is, even no matter what you believe in, if you believe in there being a higher power, that's a common denominator. I mean, that's a common denominator. That's not a divider. So I believe that we get into the semantics a lot to try to put one thing over another, to try to rank things, to try to decide what's most important or better. That's the word I was looking for. People try to decide what's better. And I think that some things it isn't even that. We should spend more time breaking down why does this relate to you, and what connected you to this particular religion. And that would bring everybody together more so than divide, like Twan was talking about.
Yeah, yeah, definitely agree. Definitely agree.
You gotta
Go ahead.
like.
Go ahead.
I'm just saying, like, you gotta have some discernment to be able to understand that anything that comes out of the word of man, man or woman could be a lie, and man or woman could be manipulated. So you have to take everything that a human being says with a grain of salt and keep relying on whatever whatever you believe, whatever you believe and whatever spiritual most high that you believe in. You got to be able to stand on that, because humans are imperfect, and a human can be manipulated. A human could be used for good and bad. So it's like you just have to understand and have your own personal beliefs and stand on your own personal beliefs, regardless of what happens, regardless if you went to a church and the pastor was on some BS. Go find another church that fit you well, or go find a mosque that fit you well, or go be with Buddha. Because my personal experience is, when it pertains to the Most High, I believe it's one Most High God. But I also believe that he has messengers to go get everybody on earth, and everybody ain't gonna relate to the same message.
And that
That's
and
just
that's literally that's why I'm saying, like, that's a common denominator for me. Like, that's a bring everybody together. That's not the divider that people try to make it. So when people say that religion is a divider of men and women, I believe that's some man-made shit in itself.
Yeah, yeah. I would say basically what both of y'all are saying is like religion itself. If we're defining religion as a set of rules that you have to follow to be a part of it, that which is man-made has divided people. But the belief in a higher power, an almighty, a
spirituality.
God, spirituality is what's common amongst everybody.
Yeah,
That's
I can get it.
Other
for
than the
sure.
people that don't believe it all,
Right.
I don't want to
Um,
exclude them from the conversation.
uh, you know, yeah, I can speak for them. So,
They should
um,
have a seat at the table.
I'm we're here. So,
I mean,
Are
yeah,
you,
I don't, like I said, I don't feel like like I said, I do believe
so
that
what are you
religion.
saying? So what are you
Yeah, yeah,
saying,
come on,
Shane? Are you
it's time
saying
to have, it's time to go. Let's go.
I'm a non-believer.
you're an atheist?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Why
Define
though?
define it first for you.
Atheist, as in I do not actively pray or believe in an afterlife or that there's any intelligent universal control that's manipulating anything.
Okay. You just don't believe it's the Most High,
Correct.
but you did at one point.
Yes.
I would like. So why did you stop?
Pretty much it was a few reasons. One, it was a step-by-step thing. So it was leaving religion but still believing in God.
Okay.
There were certain just inconsistencies that I was seeing in the Bible. I was like, oh, well, this contradicts this, so that doesn't make sense. So that can't be correct. It can't be the word of God. It can't be perfect if there's inconsistencies and things that are wrong in it. So that was one thing.
Can I interject right there though?
Sure.
The Bible can have inconsistencies because me or
It was
you or
made,
anybody
it
on
was
earth
made by
has
men.
never seen the original Bible. The Bible,
That's
we
sort of
know
my
that the
point.
Bible's
Like
been
the
manipulated.
Bible, that's sort of right. So that's kind of my thing. Like, so that was one piece of it. Like, for one, it's written by man, is not written directly by God. So
Yeah, it's
that's
not like a Bible was dropped off from heaven and it's
right,
like, this is what
right.
y'all have.
It's all
This is a
interpretation of
man-made
what
book.
people think God is.
This was a
Two, I
man-made book.
thought about it just on an extremely logical sense. Like, okay, let's say somebody walked up to you tomorrow and was like, yo, fam, I just got swallowed by a whale. I was in that nigga for 3 days and he spit me up on the beach. Would you believe him? Probably not, right? You would probably think he's crazy if somebody told you that story. But we're supposed to believe that historically actually happened if you read the Bible. You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
I get
Not
what you're saying,
like that, where it's like, come on, fam, we wouldn't
but
believe that if somebody
but
said,
I'm gonna say this though.
murder my child to prove that I love him, you'd be like, no, he didn't. That's crazy. You just killed your kid. But in the Bible, That's a story. Like, you know what I'm saying? So there's a lot of shit
But
like that where it's like,
it's a
that makes sense to me.
it's a lot of stories. You're absolutely right. It's a lot of stories, right? But this is the point that I would say, like for everything, it's like if a person walked up to you right now and say, "Man, I got shot 47 times and twice in the head," would you believe that?
If I saw evidence of it, yes. That's my second point.
But
Is
the point
why
is,
left
I know
religions
somebody who
became. I believe
this.
you. I believe that
But
that's
this is
true.
the point I'm making. I get it. I get all the reasons. This is
So
the one
I'm
thing
very evidence
because
based, you
I
know. And then the just to answer your question though, real quick. And then when I finally was just like, okay, do I believe in God anymore? It's not a definite yes or no because I leave open the possibility for anything because I accept that I can't know everything, right? But it's more so like if you were to make me bet on it, you know what I'm saying, some type of way. Like, would you bet that there's a God or not? I'd lean towards no. And the reason
and
I
let me.
say that is because of the Big Bang theory, right? Like
I'm
now
glad you're bringing this up.
people say that couldn't have just happened by itself. Something had to have started that, right? So what that implies is basically the watchmaker argument. If there's a watch there, a watchmaker had to have created it. So if nature is here, something had to have put it here. So with that same logic, you're saying that nothing can exist without something else creating it. So then
No,
you're
we're
just
not.
really posing a harder
See,
question.
I'm.
Where did
Let me
God
know
come
when I
from?
can speak.
You can
Let me know when
speak.
I can speak. That's
You
the
can
point
speak.
I'm making. I
Hmm.
think, and I have friends that are atheists, and I bring this up all the time, which is if you look at any religion book, it literally says that God was always was and always will be. Like at the end of
Right.
the day, at the end of the day, and I like to put it in even a different maker. We don't know what we don't know. But
Hmm.
this is what I do know. Something had to create the earth. Like, like the whole Big Bang theory to me actually lines up. If you literally read the story of creation in most religious books, it
It's an
literally
alignment. It's
aligns
an
with the Big
alignment.
Bang
It's
theory.
an alignment. They're close.
The point that I'm making is I feel like humans sometimes we go wrong because we try to think about things that we can't even understand. It's
Hmm.
kind of like this. Before it was a television, I'll give you one even better. If you went back to 1905 and you handed somebody your smartphone, they would not have any concept of what you just gave them. They wouldn't believe it
We
in a
would be aliens.
million
We
years.
would be an alien.
Exactly. Like they wouldn't believe
Look,
it in a million years. So the thing
that's
that I say,
true, but there would be evidence of it though. You see what I'm saying? Like there will still be physical evidence of the phone, even if they've never seen it before, have no concept of what it is. They could
But
still
that's one. But
hold
that's
it,
one.
touch
But that's
Shane,
it.
one
Shane,
person.
Shane,
That's one
Shane.
person that saw a phone. Just to be clear, that's
And
one
let me
person
ask you this.
that you
Let me
showed the
ask you
phone
this. Shane,
who went back to their village
Shane, you're alive right now, right?
with no proof.
Yes.
What you're breathing?
What am I breathing?
What are you? How are you
Oxygen, bitches.
alive?
Oxygen.
You've never seen oxygen.
No, but you can measure it.
How? Based off of who theory?
You can measure gases.
How- Bro, this is what I be telling people about humanity.
That's what science, like, you know what I'm saying? You can definitely do
No, bro, this is
experiments
the
to
point.
test
This is
things
the
that
point.
you say.
This is the point that I bring up about science. That I always question science.
You're
It's
supposed to.
all
That's how it works.
they can't prove. Like this, the point I'm making. You can't tell me you can measure something that you can't hear, feel, or touch.
You can feel it though.
How?
When you step outside and it's windy, you can feel it. The air is moving.
Man, see, now you not see,
You
I'm
know
a
what I'm
good
saying?
no, man. When you step outside, the wind is the air combining with a lot of other things. I'm just talking about the air that you breathe.
Things that you can't see, correct? Or are you
That's
talking about physical
so
things
this
that
the
you see?
point I'm making. This the point I'm making, right?
What's up?
You did you love your mother?
Of course.
She's still here. Shout out to
Yeah.
Pam.
She's
She's
definitely still
So
watching.
that's what I
She's
meant. So
watching.
you love your
She's
mother,
watching.
right?
She's
I
watching.
love
Shout out to
her to
Pam.
death. Yep,
But it's
absolutely.
it,
Shout out
but
my
it's
mom.
but it's no way to quantify it. It's no way to actually measure how much you love your mother.
That's true. That's true.
Some things.
Are unquantifiable.
This is my one reason why I believe in the Most High. The world. I've been in science. I've done way too many experiments. The world is too on a schedule for it not to be of intelligent design. Where did the intelligence come from?
Well, I guess okay. So I'll put it like this. Like, this is what I'll say. I would say, again, like I said, I leave open the possibility, right? So it's not that I'm like there is no God. It's more so like I don't actively believe in it. I would more so label myself agnostic than atheist, to be completely
Okay.
honest with you. But I would say I live more as an atheist because I don't actively like, you know what I mean? But yeah, like agnostic is probably more accurate.
I think the situation really becomes apparent because yes, when you want to hold yourself to a book that you have identified is man-made, it makes it difficult to fall into a particular religion.
Mm-hmm.
So I completely understand that.
Mm-hmm.
But I too have experienced just on a personal level. I mean, that voice in your head that says go left and don't go right, like that's not you, bro. That tap on the shoulder is not you. Like gut instinct isn't even you. Now we can say some people will tell you that's your ancestors. Some people will say it's your guardian angel. Some people will say it's the Holy Spirit. Some people will call it the universe. Some people will call it whatever. But those things become piled on, compound interest. You know what I'm saying? Of just that was beyond a person. You see what I'm saying? That's not physics. That's not nothing. That's beyond people. And that will always have me in the space of believing,
I'll put it like
regardless
this.
of if I go to a church or walk in a place or not. I'll never say that I don't believe in God for that reason alone.
I'll put it like this.
The
I'll
Most
put it
High.
like this. Let me say this name. God can either be all powerful or all good. He can't be both. Unless the word good means something completely different to God than it does to us. And
This
the
the
reason
point.
I say that, and the reason I say that,
All of those words were man-made in the first place. So
Can I interject?
God can't be
Shane, can
held
I
accountable
interject?
for none of that.
and that's
Shane,
fine. So that means the way that God is described cannot be true.
can
Because
I
if he's
interject?
all powerful, then that means he allows bad shit to happen.
That was a
If he's
Can I
all
person.
good,
interject?
Go
then
Can
ahead.
that
I
Go
means
ahead.
interject?
go
Can I
ahead.
interject?
Stop
Fellas, I
asking
had
and
an answer.
interject.
I
Go
have
ahead.
the answer. You were a Christian when you were into religion, right?
Yes.
If you were a Christian and you really read the Bible, literally in the Bible, the Lord told that Satan, you have your will on earth until I say it's over. So I never understood when Christians say, well, how can bad things happen when the Lord literally told Satan that it's a game? And I know people don't like it to look at it that way, but they're playing a game for souls. It's like at the end of the day, if you created your kid and you
And that's
want
kind of
your
my
kid to,
point. If God is all good, he would never play a game with souls of humans
who
that he
said that?
created.
Listen,
Just like
Shane, who
if he
said that
loves
God?
everybody, like what would you ever, if you have kids, would you ever,
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying, like play a game with your kids' lives? Or
I can't,
of
I
course
can't,
not.
I can't say that. I can't
So
say that
why
I
would,
can't.
if we're
Listen,
God's
listen,
children,
listen,
that doesn't make
listen.
sense? Like,
You can't tell nobody they got freedom of choice then.
I was gonna say, like, because at the end of the day, as a parent, you're raising a person to make their own decisions, and you don't control how those decisions, what they end up being, which is no different from his perspective. If we're
but
talking
if
about
he
him being,
did, If you could, you would, correct?
No,
No.
you wouldn't,
You
because
wouldn't
that's not.
steer your kids into
Do,
like
do,
if
do you
no,
know? Do
I
you
mean
know
like
what the
freak
number? Hold on,
accident
hold
shit.
on,
I'm
hold on,
not
hold on,
talking
hold on,
about
hold on,
bad
hold on.
choices.
I'm not
I'm not
talking,
talking about bad
but that's what
choices.
we're.
I'm talking about
But
you
that's
get in a
what we're.
car accident and you've been living a great life and now you're paralyzed, or your kid is born with cancer. What is that? Like,
Life.
right,
All parties
This
right.
the point I'm making,
and
Shane. At the
everything.
end of the
And every.
And
day,
that makes
And,
way more sense that would
but
just
what
arise
is
naturally
perfect?
in some,
But what is
roll of the
perfect?
dice than
My name.
somebody designing that.
My name alludes to, and that's funny. People ask me this question all the time, like, "Oh, your name, you think you're perfect?" It's like, no, I actually don't. I actually think that the name has had multiple meanings over the years.
Mhm.
One of them was every flaw that you have makes you who you are, like literally, like the little intro secrecies of you, the little nuances of you make you perfectly the homie Twan, make you Shane G. You know what I'm saying? And we need to stop looking at these little things always as such bad, negative things.
and
I
and
feel
I'm
like
gonna
some
be,
of this is embracing our flaws
I'm
from
gonna
that
be
perspective.
honest. Like to me, I just be thinking like sometimes as we get adults, we forget the actual passages of our Bible because we don't seek it for ourselves. We listen to what other people say. Everything that Shane's asking is explained in the Bible. When Adam and Eve were
It
first
doesn't
here,
it
they
doesn't matter though, but you're trying to send him to a thing that he's discredited
no, this
based
is the
on
point I'm making. It doesn't matter whether he
it.
discredited or not.
It
A nigga,
does if you're
no, it
talking to
doesn't, because
him.
the nigga could think 2 + 2 don't equal 4. Like that don't make what he's saying right. That don't make what I'm saying right.
I didn't say it was right.
So
What
this
I
is the
said
point
was
I'm
if we're
making.
having a
All I'm
conversation and we're
having is a
having
conversation saying that a lot of people say that it's holes in the Bible. I'm just here as a Christian to refute that. If you listen to when Adam and Eve were first on earth, they didn't have sin. They didn't have freedom of choice.
yeah,
It wasn't a thing.
there was an opportunity for humans to not be human.
That's
And
the point I'm making.
he's saying
When
that
you
humans
can't be,
human.
this is the point
I
I'm
get
making.
it. And
No,
I get
listen,
all that.
listen,
Go ahead. Go ahead.
listen. If humans never have freedom of choice based on the Bible, then guess what they would be? An angel. Literally, the angels were here before humans, and the angels were jealous because humans got freedom of choice. That's why the devil got kicked out of heaven. Like at the end of the day, it's about the freedom of choice. I'm gonna put it to you this way: if you had a woman that loved you, would you want her to prove her love, or would you want to make her love you? And she didn't have a choice.
No, of course, I'd want her to love me just off the strength. You know what I'm
That
saying? I
that's
wouldn't want to.
that's
That's
what
what
he's
he.
saying.
That's what he's saying.
I mean,
I
yeah,
gotta give you the free will to go live the life that you want to live. I gotta give you the room to go be what you want to be. And I gotta and the thing
And
is,
I gotta, and
I
I
gotta
gotta, and you gotta suffer the consequences of freedom of choice. This is the thing that I tell people. It'd be weird to me when people say, "Oh, God is all good." Well, I guess it depends on what good is, because
that's what
everybody
I'm
who
saying.
read the
Like maybe we got a different
everybody,
definition. Like
everybody who read the Bible know that God destroyed whole towns. He destroyed the world.
God was genociding motherfuckers in the Bible. Let's keep it real. Like he was going
At
crazy.
the
So
end of the day, at the end of the day, all I'm saying is I get it. We all have found out one day. That's the beautiful thing about it.
mhm.
One day when we transition, everybody will find out whether they whatever their theory is. You know
Yeah,
what I mean? But this is the thing I be wondering from a manifestation tip. It's
mhm.
like I be taking spirituality and religion a different way, meaning like shit. If you manifest nothing but nothingness when you die, maybe that's what you're gonna get. If you manifest something else, maybe that's what you're gonna get. Like I don't know. We don't know the answer, and that's the
I'm not even really trying personally. I actually tried to make the most of my time here. Like I spend my time there. I don't even really get caught up thinking
Well, let
about
me ask you this. This is the
that.
last thing I'm gonna ask you, Shane. Right? If
Mhm.
there's no God and it's nothingness at the death, how can people explain, which is documented, people seeing their loved ones, spirits? How do you explain that then? If it's nothing that happens after death?
I mean,
I mean, I got people that say that shit
I
coming out
mean,
of. If
you
you
might
want me,
not
if you
like this
want me to
answer.
argue, you want me to argue it. Is niggas that have said that shit coming out of surgery. So I mean, like being in a hallucinogenic state.
That's what I was gonna say. Like a lot of times, people have
Every every
hallucinations
every
of things.
everything ain't hallucinogenic, and this is what I mean by that. I had an experience in my life where it wasn't hallucinogenic at all. I was wide awake. So that's kind of what
You
I'm
be
saying.
awake
Like,
sometimes when you hallucinate, though.
nah, bro, I was literally wide awake and walking somewhere. Like, no, nobody can convince me of what I saw. Like, I
That's
know what
cool.
I saw. You know what I'm saying? Like, I was walking from school.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and I know what I saw. And I'm not here to knock what other people believe, because I also believe in freedom of choice. So I respect Shane to believe what he want to believe. I respect Flaw to believe what he want to believe. I respect all that. I personally have just seen too many unexplained miracles and things in my life where I was like, well, what the heck? Like, this defies logic. This doesn't make any sense. Like, it doesn't make any natural, logical human sense.
100%.
That's just my
Definitely
personal
been there too.
experience.
I've
And
been
I
there as well.
respect you as an intelligent brother, Shane. And like you said, life is still a lot. You got to, hopefully you have a ton of life ahead of you. So maybe you would be proven right, or maybe you would be open to changing your mind again. You know what I mean? Like, it's a
I'm
lot of
always
life
open to
ahead.
change my mind with new evidence. That's my philosophy on life. I'm always willing to change my mind when presenting new evidence.
Well, this the one thing I'll be asking my atheist friends too, because they always say that they can prove that God, or they always say prove that God exists. Then I tell them to prove that he don't exist.
Prove that he doesn't.
My
Natural.
response to that is you can't prove a negative. Like that would be like me saying, "Yo, I just flew to your house on a magic carpet," and you'd be like, "Nah, prove it." And I'd be
That's
like,
not,
"Prove I
that's
did."
not true. I'm
I
gonna tell
can
you how you
prove it.
can
I
prove.
can prove a
You know what I'm
negative.
saying?
Yes, you
I
Prove
can.
I
can.
didn't
I
Yes,
fly to
you
can
your house.
prove the
can,
negative.
Shane. Yes, you can. It's called human documentation. Like, if I tell you it was a nigga that lived on 7 Mile and John R named such and such and such and such,
Mhm.
and you start doing a little digging and know everybody like, man, I never heard of this dude. I never seen this dude. Da 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 da. After a while of so much digging, you're gonna be like, bro, nobody never heard of this dude.
Mhm.
If God never existed, how did so many people? Where did the reverence come from?
I mean, I don't know, man. Like I said, I just think if God exists and like he can't be exist in the way that
Yeah,
we're
now that's a different story, bro. What you
you know what
saying
I'm
is
saying.
totally different. I don't
That's
think
you
God is
being
just,
glued. That's you being glued to a perspective of what
and it's
he
the
is,
part that be so
or
weird
she
to me,
is, or
Flaw.
it is.
Flaw, this is the part that be so weird to me. Why do people think that God is your mother, this super awesome person with no consequence? I think it's the reason why I believe God is a spirit, but I think it's the reason why they call him God the Father, because he parents more like a father, meaning there will be consequences to your actions. Literally, he
No,
say
like that's
people,
cool.
he,
What
he
I'm
literally
more
say, he literally say that people are going to hell.
yeah. Like I said, I feel like it's there's a lot of people who are born into situations or
Let me ask you this then.
experience things that it's like you can't really justify them deserving it necessarily.
I
Like, you
don't
know what
I
I'm
don't
saying?
have
Like if a
I
baby's
don't
born
have
with cancer, you can't justify that like because then what? The sins of the father's cool? Like, you know what I'm saying? It's like if the dad was fucked up and then he had a baby, so that's why the baby got cancer to teach him a lesson. Like, that's
no.
crazy to me. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
I
I
get
don't know how
I get why
people
you
justify
I
that type shit.
I get why you I get why you think that's crazy.
Like, you can
I
punish
totally get
people
it.
when they fuck up, but like to do the generational thing to me is like that's wild.
You
Like,
can't you can't stop the cycle of freedom of choice, Shane. That's like right now. This is what I mean by that, bro. That's like right now, if a woman starts smoking crack through her pregnancy, she
right,
cannot stop the cycle if her child comes out addicted to crack.
right, right. No, I get that. I get that.
That's a consequence of your choice.
Right, right. No, I
Like,
get that.
I think it's all rooted in freedom of choice. Like, this is the point I'm making. As a parent, you give your child, and I want you to think about this. Let's take God away from it. Let's talk about some real factual shit of how many black parents have lost their kids to street violence.
Right.
Because they gave their child freedom of choice.
Mm-hmm.
So I can't do nothing but deal with the consequence. If I could lock my child in a room and never let him go outside, that's not the life he want to live, because you want your child to go prove. Now, if you want me to say that God maybe has an ego, I wholeheartedly agree with that.
He never
Because
said
even as a parent,
but
even as
he said don't honor anyone but me. That's clear. His ego was apparent.
So the point I'm making is, as a parent, I want to instill in my child these things. How do I ever put it to the test if I don't let them go live life?
That's real.
Like, what am I proving if I lock my kid in the room and say, you can't do anything but what I tell you to do?
Yeah.
Then if they're a child or they're a slave, then you'll have people saying I'm a slave.
I get that. What I'm saying is more so this, right? Like, when you teach your kids to drive, you're going to teach them to drive safe. You know what I'm saying? And you're going to do everything you can within your power to prevent them from getting in an accident. That's out of your hands once they actually start driving, other drivers, all that type of shit. But you, as their parent who loves them, is going to still do everything you can to prevent that from happening.
I feel like in my life, I feel like the Lord has done that for me so many times. And I ain't here to speak on your life, but I feel like in my life, the Lord has constantly reminded me, this ain't that. That voice in your head,
that's what I was just saying. That's what I was saying.
That ain't that. That ain't that, son. That ain't the right move. I wouldn't get in the car with them. Da 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 da. Like, bro, and this is just my personal experience. I be feeling like, and I also gonna go a step further too, and thinking it's hard to hear the message. And this is just me flat out letting people know that I do believe in God, and I do believe in religion. So I don't want people to look at it like I'm forcing my thing. I'm just telling from my perspective. I also feel like I said before, when you get your mind cluttered and distracted and you can't even hear the voice of God, you're so confused about shit. You can't even hear it. Like how when people get on a deeper level and they start talking about all the things they do to calcify your third eye, that awakening spirit, your pineal gland that connects you to the Most High. So you can have a super sense of like, yeah, this ain't really right. It's called intuition. It could be called a lot of things. And that's just what I be saying. Like, this is the point I'm making, right? All three of us, not to put nobody business on the phone, well, y'all two be on camera smoking weed. But I know all three of us have smoked weed in our life. You telling me y'all ain't never got zooted and felt like you had a religious experience?
Oh, of course. Of course.
No, I don't think so. I don't feel like I have. I really don't. And that's what I feel like, I guess, is missing in my life, is those experiences that people talk about that I would basically describe as supernatural. That's how I interpret it. You know what I'm saying? But other people may say spiritual, God's talking to them,
I don't
or
think
whatever
it's
like that.
It don't have to be supernatural. It's more about,
I'm just saying how I interpret it as somebody who is extremely scientifically minded.
I get it.
Looking for something extreme, and it's not an extreme. It's actually,
because like when you say like that voice in your head,
hand.
I'm like, yeah, I hear my voice in my head too, and I know what's right and wrong, and sometimes I choose to do wrong, and sometimes I'm like, I know better than this. I need to go left instead of going right, like you said.
Now this,
the right decision. I put that on me though. It's just,
you think that's you?
Yes.
So how did you know right from wrong when you were 4?
What do you mean?
So you telling me when you were a kid?
I didn't that poor.
See, I know for a fact at 4 years old, I had intuition.
I watch 4-year-olds. Literally, they know when they're doing something wrong. Like, that's why they'll sneak to do something.
Well,
they'll
okay,
sneak,
yeah, in that sense, like, yeah, like clear rules that were already given, like don't draw on the walls, and I'm sneaking to try to draw on the wall.
Or no, not even that. Just, hey, you were told, you weren't even necessarily told anything, but it feels like you're doing something wrong. This feels wrong.
Man, it's the point I'm making. Like right now,
right.
if you take 100, if you take 102-year-old
based on past things, though.
What past things?
No, I'm
Like
talking
just
about how
past
about no, how about
examples of
how about
whatever,
how about
like
very
just
first?
past examples throughout life, and then you
No,
decide
using
like,
first. No,
nah,
let's
this
just use
probably
first.
seems like a bad idea.
Let's just use first times then. The first times of doing things. No, I don't think it's always bad. I think it's literally in the moment thing. You know if it's this is right. Like you have these inclinations, these things come over you where it's when people say, "Oh, I got goosebumps." Have you ever
Mhm.
thought about what you were thinking about or what you were tapped into when you got goosebumps?
Yeah,
And what
yeah,
can you do any of those things come to your mind? You don't have to share
yeah.
on camera,
Typically,
but
typically when I get goosebumps, it's just because it's for whatever reason, it's either something that makes me uncomfortable, or it's something that just like it brings me to a very specific memory, and it's just like, damn, like I ain't, you know what I mean? Like, so it's typically one of those two things.
I get it. I see. This the thing that I'm saying. It's like I think. Let me ask you this: have you been in a household with any small children? I know you don't have any children of your own, but
Yeah.
have you? It's kind of like this, right? I always wondered this. Like I remember my daughter being one, just learning how to walk. She was actually 9 months, right?
Hmm.
And I took her to a park, a very busy park, and I I took her out the car and put her right there. She didn't run in the middle of the street. She didn't run in the middle of the street.
Hmm.
She had enough intuition to say, I don't think I should be out there in the street with these, whatever these objects are, before she even knew it was a car going fast. I
Um.
just think, I just think personally that, and some people look at it this way, right? Because I know a very spiritual person that believes in ancestors, and they believe that all your experiences are just your ancestors passing it down, downloading it through you. So you
Now,
come in the
see, I
earth.
believe in that a little bit more because that actually can be explained scientifically. You can explain that in DNA transfer and like epigenetics and things like that, like the trauma that we feel based on slavery and shit like that. Like that can be scientifically explained. So I'm like way more in line with that line of thought. If you want to call that spirituality, and like that's cool. You
This
know
is
what I'm
just my
saying? But
whole
like that's how
this,
I would
and I
square
get
that
it.
in my head though. You get what I'm
I,
saying? Like,
I get it, bro. Some people definitely believe in science. I just don't believe in science because somebody created science.
well, again, I feel like
So
it's
it's
a
like,
process. It's not
it's
something that
kind of like,
necessarily
see, I'm
is
gonna keep it 100. Like I question everything,
mhm.
and it's like,
But again, you're supposed to. That's what science is. It's
yeah, but
questioning
that's kind of
things
like,
that
you
have
know,
been
it's kind of
said.
crazy. You know why I don't really fuck with science as much? Because imagine how smart I can be if I don't. It's no consequences of being wrong. I could just say, "Oh yeah, I thought that what it was, but it wasn't. My bad." Like you
I'm
have a whole generation of people believing one thing. Like, what did the world believe before dude
Do you think
created
that means there's
the
no
theory of
consequence?
relativity?
That's a good example actually, because Newton had it wrong and Einstein followed up on all those equations and discovered, and that's how that ended up getting discovered or whatever. And that's based on him questioning the science that was there already. So that's my
I ain't
point.
gonna
It's
lie,
like,
y'all
Batwan
don't
is
really.
speaking. Batwan is speaking to the generation of people that lived an entire life based on this false premise of science.
yes, there's going to be negative consequences to that for sure. But that's human shit though. Like there's no outside interference in that.
No,
You
no,
get what
no,
I'm
no,
saying?
no, 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 no. What that is humans buying into another human's philosophy of something. That
Exactly.
that's not direct source, which is what we're talking about. That's a
Right. And
human
but again,
saying,
like the thing is, so this is the thing about like this is why I get like passionate about it, I guess, is because if you choose to, like, you can the information is out there, like how to conduct these experiments to prove that the results will be whatever. Right. So basically what you basically you would have to believe that like all the scientists in the world who are independently conducting these experiments are getting different results, but then conspiring to say what the actual result is.
No,
Why
I
do you
believe
think?
From what
no, I
purpose?
don't.
Like,
I don't believe that at all. I believe that all current science is rooted in the founding fathers of physics and science. And then those
and
are the
nobody questions
universal.
it anymore. They just it is what it
This
is.
is
No,
Like,
this
no,
this is why
I'm
this is
saying
why
that if all scientists are using the same formula to figure something out, then yes, that's the calculator. That's the 2 plus 2 of math. It's us all agreeing that this is 2 and this is 2 and these two together make 4. That's the agreement that we're making in communicating. We're agreeing that's what people are saying. That's the
bro.
quote unquote conversation.
Shane, that's my whole problem with the whole thing. It's all agreements.
That's what
Like
I'm saying. Like it's the
math,
agreement.
what is math? 2 plus 2 equals 4. Why didn't
That's an
somebody say
agreement.
2 plus 2 equals 6?
That's an agreement. It's just an
because
agreement.
this and this is this. Like that's
Bro, that
you can,
somebody define
Somebody
what 2 is,
that's
Shane.
what that's what we're trying to
yes,
say
you
to
can,
you.
but what's okay, but just because a
Two
human
doesn't
defines something doesn't
two
make
didn't
it not
have to be
true though.
two. Like it would really
Yeah, you could
for
call
example,
it whatever you want, but this
like
value is this value no matter what.
I
This
don't think
value
you
is
get.
this value
I
no
don't
matter
think you
what.
this
get from.
number one, time out. Number
You
one, what
can
you're saying,
call it
right?
whatever you
Time out,
want.
time
You
out,
can
time out,
call
time out.
this 1, you can
Time,
call this 30, but this is this no matter what. And then when you add this with this, no matter what, you get this. In
No,
any
that's not.
variety. You can have
That's
no,
not
the
no,
same
true
amount
though,
no,
of
because
because
if
these.
you, that's
Call it
not true
whatever
though,
you
Shane.
want.
Shane,
That is
literally
very
what you
true.
said.
What are you talking about?
Listen,
that's not
listen.
true because this could be
Literally,
11. This could be 1,111. It doesn't
Yes,
have to
and then when
be
you combine
exactly.
four.
those two things, the values are the
You,
same.
it doesn't have
Who
to be.
You
created the
call them
That's
value?
what
whatever
we're.
you want. What do you mean?
I
Who
think you're
created the
missing what
value?
we're
See, that's
saying.
what
Like,
I'm confused by the question. Like,
That's
is
what we're
who
this
saying.
created the
is this
values?
wait? Let me ask you a question. Let me ask you, is this amount of fingers that I'm holding up and the amount of legs on my glass is the same? Yes or no?
Yes.
Is yes? So that means that no matter what you call this and what you call this, they're the same, right?
In America.
What? No, everywhere,
Bro.
everywhere. This is the same amount as this is the same amount of shoes I'm wearing on my feet. Correct? Like that's universal, no matter what.
No, I see. I guess that's where I
I
disagree
don't
because it's.
No,
understand
no, no,
like
no,
how
no,
that's.
no, no,
I don't
no,
even
no. We
understand how
no,
that's
no,
an
no, no,
argument.
no, no, no. Now hold on. Now we can agree on quantity. It being
That's
defined
what
as
I'm saying.
two,
The value, the quantity. That's no whatever you call it. It's the same thing.
the value of
That's what.
something, like
That's
being
literally the
able
point
to
I've been
say
making this
I
whole
have,
time. Y'all been saying I've been
being able
wrong.
to. No, we're saying that. Okay, we're
I'm
saying
gonna
that
tell you.
what
I'm gonna
things
tell you.
are
Let
called.
me say this. Why I don't believe. Why science to me is crazy because it's no you. To me, if something is, it should be is everywhere. There's no universalness to it because you could go somewhere else and them two things you holding up might not mean two. They could mean 50. And the point that I'm making is right now, if I give you a American quarter, you can go to 100 different places on earth and it means something totally different. It has a completely
Fact,
different value.
fact.
Value, yes, yes, that's
But
true.
that's
In
what you
in
were
that
just trying
sense.
to say, the value.
Okay,
And
So I
well
all
then
I'm
changed.
we'll
saying is
change the
Changed it to.
quantity.
I changed it to quantity because that's a better
We'll
word
change it
for
to quantity then, because now you're arguing semantics, and we're not. Because you know the
the
point I'm
point
trying.
I'm making is this, right? At the end of the day, when it comes to science to me, my personal opinion on science is just all hypothesis. It's just all a guess. Because at the end of the day, they be proven to be wrong so many times when they be trying to speak like it's absolutes. And the thing that I'm saying is nothing on earth is absolute if you don't have the original source, which is God, to my humble opinion. Like
All right, boom. All right, so let's bring it back to Kyrie real quick. What do y'all think is gonna happen? He retiring for real, or is he gonna work it out? What's going on with him?
Um, I don't think he's going to retire. I think he's going to play again because honestly, the NBA is they're kind of putting themselves in a bad position. The league is 70% African American. And as societal pressures and black people start to be like, hold on now, I just think they're gonna whether he actually does all six things, who really knows? I just gonna say that they're gonna say he met it, he met the requirements, and he's gonna play again. That's just my personal opinion.
But I think the Players Association ain't gonna go for that right now. I think the Players Association, they're appealing the suspension because they feel like those terms are unfair. And they're doing their job in that regard. So I think the NBA having to fight for them to hold those terms to be true is where things can get spicy. Things can get real spicy then. If the NBA really wants to hold him to those terms, because if he appeals it, then it's like, yo, because I don't know if the NBA actually gave him the suspension in the first place. I believe it was from the team.
Yeah,
I
it was from a
believe
team. It had nothing to do with the NBA.
those are team terms. So I can see the NBA stepping in and revising the terms of the agreement.
Now, is Kyrie gonna get traded to the Lakers? Maybe so. Like now, that's a whole nother thing. If he gonna play for the Nets again, maybe not.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, I mean, he's gonna play. Well, he said he was sorry. He did the things necessary. I mean, as far as not the list of things, but it should have been a dead issue. But like they beating his ass on some like, and I'm talking like publicly, and I'm talking like the media banter, and all of the media companies are owned by the people that he offended.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Like,
it's tough.
yeah, I mean, it's a tough spot to be in. So it's like, and the crazy thing is, in the name of propping us up, you really have to just focus on ourselves. Because if you use anybody else apparently as a reference, they take offense. And even when you use them as a reference for positive use, because it's not even like every time you use the Jewish community as a reference that it's a bad thing. A lot of times it's like, yo, we need to get on our shit. They got their shit together. We need to use that as an example. Usually somebody would be honored.
Yes, it's difficult, man.
That
My stance from all this stays the same. Whether you believe Kyrie was right, whether he was wrong, whether the NBA is overstepping, whether they overstep with Kanye, it's all the same to me. The standard has been set. The next person of major stature that says anything derogatory to another race, I want the same results. I want the same results. I want companies to say we're not associating. I want their money took out the banks. I want their careers suspended. I want the same results.
we'll see. Don't hold your breath.
I just don't see how they could do that. What are they gonna say if it's not the same?
They're gonna say that it's not the same.
Nigga,
They're
that's
gonna
your all
tell you.
beef. That's what they're gonna
They're gonna tell
say.
you it's not the same. They're gonna
Nigga,
tell
that's
you
your
it's
all
not the
beef.
same.
And then
All right.
at that point, then it's on everybody with melanated skin to make their stance. If that happens,
100%. 100%. 100% agree.
And there it is. This is
All right.
OTI open to interpretation right here on the Ethos Media Network. Make sure you like, you share, you subscribe, leave in the comments your thoughts. Peace.